Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is a small talk video, and we've got a new galactic legend to talk about. The idea here is I just want to make this quick. I want to get myself on the record and give you all what I think about the conversations that have been happening and the larger context and rules to be thinking about. I don't know if I have too much more to add to the speculation, but you'll hear if I think some are good ideas, some are less good ideas. Also, I didn't finish watching Ahsoka. I didn't even dislike it. I just thought it was fine and it didn't grab me, so that's something I'm going to need to wrap up. Anyway, Ahsoka the White. This here is a sketch by Filoni. If you didn't know, Filoni started out as a sketch artist and his sketches are fantastic and worth checking out. I'm also going to be referring to the GL as Ahsoka the White because that's who I'm hoping we're getting, even though that hasn't been formally established. Now, whenever we go through the process to speculate, I think it very valuable to look back at recent releases to see what kind of patterns CG has established, because with the last couple GLs, CG has actually been very player friendly in terms of the characters required, and I expect that to continue. But I have also been expecting Relic 10 for a while, and I called that out after the Jabba release with the Krayt Dragon, well, after the Krayt Dragon release, that Jabba would be the last easy GL, which with Leia turned out to be an incorrect prediction. But I still think that is what CG will do here. And they have just made Relic 9 slightly easier with the new Assault Battle, and they've already told us one requirement at Relic 9 with Ahsoka Tano. So plan for Lord Vader requirements, but like with Lord Vader, I think most of the requirements are going to be beneficial to our rosters. In terms of Leia Organa, top two rows here, these are high quality requirements. We either already had them, or very close to them, or the characters are extremely useful. This final row here, we have a meme level requirement in Lobot. Lando was fine because that was previously required. Then Akbar, Chirpa, Wicket is a mix of both being semi-useful but also not being great. Jabba, similar deal. Previously required characters used within the squad, or high-value bounty hunters like Fennec or Boba Fett. And then you have a meme level requirement in Mob Enforcer. And then some of these characters at the time weren't great, like Jawa or Aurora, but they became a little bit more useful with either additional releases or the Jawa with the Krayt Raid. Now we get into the meat of the speculation. Ahsoka Tano, Relic 9, and as I just stated, take that as a message and hint from CG for the rest of the requirements. But despite what I expect to be steep requirements, I do still recommend that for players in Kyber at a minimum to be going after Ahsoka the White right away. Because in a previous talk video, I emphasized that we can now consider all future GLs raid characters, and I consider Ahsoka the White a near guarantee to be a requirement, or at least one of the best teams for whatever comes after the Naboo raid. Night Trooper, this is going to be a busy week. We know they've already hinted at the raid release, and now we have this character announcement. I would expect a post on Tuesday with the kit reveal and the big raid announcement. I also expect that kit reveal to contain the requirements for the Night Trooper, and it's going to be R7 minimum. All Leia's new marquees were R7. Consider that a floor for GL related marquee releases. And so look out for a more in-depth talk video later in the week. Plo Koon, I'm in complete agreement. Expect something Relic 5 minimum. Relic 5 is when CG is going to be nice. He's got a ship. We're going to use him in the raid. He has some decent mechanics that are helpful. This is a solid requirement, kind of Akbar level requirement if we're comparing to Leia. Barriss, similar kind of deal. I would expect Relic 5 minimum on a character like her, and she's a very useful character that a lot of players don't have at Relics, but if you're in the upper levels, you probably do. She has a lot of flexibility, good on Qui-Gon squad, useful on a Star Killer squad, a lot of things that we can do because of how her unique functions. Whenever she's critically hit, she has some recovery, she has some dispels, she has some turn meter mechanics, very solid character. that all of us will be happy to have at relics. And I'm just going to boost mine from relic 3 to relic 5. Now, Cup is our meme level requirement. If Cup was ever going to be required for something, it's going to be now. We had Mob Enforcer for Jabba, we had Lobot for Leia. This is going to happen. I'm pretty comfortable about all of the Cup speculation that we've been seeing. His character was released and created for an important moment in Ahsoka's story when she is on the run, which if you haven't watched Clone Wars, you gotta watch Clone Wars. It's some of the best Star Wars there is. Now, we are definitely going to get an Anakin. It's just a question of which Anakin. And I think they go with Gas. And I think that's partly because CG has been known to be very nice and player friendly with these requirements. And if you happen to get Lord Vader, you're going to have him at Relic 8, and that's just going to be a nice, easy Relic 9, relatively easy Relic 9. And for other players who don't have Lord Vader, it's going to overlap with that requirement a little bit. They could do Anakin, but I think Gas is one of those player friendly moves that we're going to see, just like they did CLS with Leia. Don't look for CG to be overly punitive. That's not really how they handle these Galactic Legends. This stretch of characters here is going to relate right back to my most recent list video where I talked about the characters who are guaranteed to be a future requirement, where I even talked about the possibility of a GL Ahsoka. I even showed how few players have characters like Fulcrum at Relics, and she's an excellent character on a Seer Junda squad. She has valuable Ami in Territory Wars. She is going to be required, not Cat. That's almost guaranteed. I would expect something like Relic 8 on a character like her. Now, these next two, we'll talk about them together. We've got Sabine and we've got Ezra. One of these, we are going to get the Phoenix version, and it's probably going to be Ezra. Sabine, she's a stand-in here. Both of them were in the list video that I just mentioned, but Sabine, she may be here as a stand-in for a marquee release where we get an alternate Sabine, like a Jedi Sabine who can have a lightsaber. I know there's been some talk about like a Hermit Ezra. I don't think we're going to see something like that right now. That feels more like a future release to me. And then there is Rex. We have to have a Rex. I don't think it's going to be Captain Rex just because that was too recent. With Leia, he's already at Relic 7. They could be nice about it, but this is a situation where I think CG is going to push the lower Relic character up to higher Relics. And someone like Rex, this could be an R9 candidate, possibly an R8. Now we're going to get into some of the dark side characters. Gar Saxon, relevant to the Rebels show. He's a strong candidate for one of the Empire characters that could show up. But Vader, we gotta be talking about Vader. I think he is extremely likely as a Relic 9 character. Also, one that I've been meaning to do anyway, so I wouldn't mind seeing that. And it would be technically a second Anakin. Then Asajj. This one has been talked about, and she should be a requirement. I think that's safe. This is another like R8, R9 kind of character. I think R7 is going to be too low for her. She's already a pretty solid character. I do hope we will get a bounty hunter Asajj at some point. But the bigger thing we need to be talking about is just Night Sisters in general, because I don't think too much speculation has talked too much about the Night Sisters. This is an area where, kind of like with the Ewoks required with Leia, I'm expecting at least 2, maybe 3 Night Sisters, which means some of the other characters we speculated on aren't going to be there. Like, knock Gar Saxon out, add another Night Sister. It's something that I've been personally dreading because I do not want to relic these characters. I constantly argue that this squad is actively better without relics on them, and CG wants to make me relic these characters. And this is their opportunity. Zombie is here because that is the one that I think I'm going to hate the most if I have to bring that character to relics, because you want Zombie to die. So CG making me take Zombie to like Relic 5, Relic 7, that's the only way they could make me do it. Territory battles is not enough. And now if CG wanted to be nice, DACA would be another requirement, but I actually think it's more likely that we see like an Acolyte Spirit situation. I don't think an Initiate. I think they'll be nice enough to not do Initiate, but kind of like where they gave us Wicket and Chirpa. Those are two solid relics for a Ewok squad. Well, and Princess Nisa as well, I guess. So there's 3 relic Ewoks. Those are some of the relics that make that squad function very well. Paplu would be another nice one. Expect something similar with the Night Sisters. That's why I think Daka or Telzine, although I would kind of not be happy with Telzine because I like having a Gear 11 Telzine that just, she dies right away and then I start spamming those revives and I just up the damage on Asajj, up the survivability on Daka. I see those days coming to an end for me because I will be getting Ahsoka. I'm not going to avoid it just because I don't want to gear up my Night Sisters. So in totality, this is what I think we can plan for. The Stormtrooper here, that's just a stand-in for the Night Trooper. The empty slot here is for the other marquee character that has not been announced, and I don't think it's going to be both a new Sabine and a new Ezra. I think it's one or the other, and then the other Phoenix character will be in there. So that's the empty slot. I do think 15 characters total. R5 is going to be the low point. R7 is going to be the most common, and there's going to be a few R9s, but those are all going to be on characters that I think we wouldn't mind the relic investment otherwise. So Vader, Gas, Ahsoka Fulcrum. Those are the ones that make the most sense to me. Hopefully this speculation is short-lived and we get to see some of those requirements this week with the other updates. And we may be seeing the end of the meme worthiness of Cup. So we'll have to transition over to like an Ugnaught or an IG-86. But thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.